So here we are already, day 34, the end of week 5 of the 60-day fall season of change challenge here. Today it's Flexibility Friday and we're going to work on some deep hip openers. So we only have a total of 9 poses that we're doing, but we're going to hold them longer so that way we can get deeper into the hip and try and work things out. It tends to be one of the tensest parts of the majority of people's bodies because the way that we're used to sitting at desks, on the couch, in the car, and so these areas get tight a lot of times. So this may be a simple, short tutorial, but don't fool yourself into thinking it's easy. It's going to be a bit of a challenge because we tend to have a lot of tightness there. So hopefully we can ease some of that out. So we're going to start off in hero's pose. Remember, you can always use a pillow or so if you need to. And just sit down, nice and easy. And we're just going to hold this pose for a few breaths. All of these poses we're going to hold for about 5 to 10 breaths each, so that way we can sink in deeply. And so just continue to breathe here. If you're focusing on a count, hopefully I'm not distracting you too much. But the more you're sitting here, see if you're on a bolster, so see if you can slowly get to the point of moving it down. And if you're sitting here on the ground, maybe you can just slowly focus on bringing your knees together here. Continue to sit up tall, broaden the chest, shoulders down. And again, if it's too tight on your knees, always go wider or prop yourself up because we don't want to stress this out. It's just being easy here. Relaxing breaths. Focusing on that outer hip rotation. Continue to move your calves out of the way, giving yourself more space to grow. And continue to keep the breath long and soft, nice and relaxed. Try not to focus on any tension. If tension is being built or created, again, modify things to move out of it so that way we can create ease in this openness that we're creating in the hips here. Maybe it feels good to rub the legs a little bit, massage the knee joints. Again, like if you're noticing the ankles are too tight, you can always place a little blanket there underneath the heels or in between your sits bones and your ankles, adjusting things to your liking. Again, maybe you're playing with moving those knees closer together and continuing to sit up tall. We're not going to do any reclining hero today. We're just focusing on holding this pose, creating that openness. Just going to hold it through a couple more breaths, and then we're going to move on to the next one. So if you feel like you're dying, don't worry, it's almost over. If you saw the Peter Pan meditation, continue to create those happy thoughts. And slowly ease out of it. Coming up, lifting up nice and easy, crossing the ankles and come down to your seat. We're going to extend both legs here nice and slow so we're not stressing the knees. You're going to feel that. I don't even have to tell you to go slow. Your body's just going to make you do it. And we're going to take a short little stretch here. Give those knees a little break. Start to feel that stretch on the outer thigh, all the way in the back. Sitting nice and tall. We're not sinking all the way into this yet. And slowly coming out of it, we're going to try a half lotus. So bringing the right foot up into the left hip and then crossing the left heel underneath your right knee. And so this is a half lotus where only one foot is coming up into the hip socket. And if this is feeling too tight, again, a great modification is to bring, heel to knee on both sides and try a log pose. And for me, which is odd, this is supposed to be an easier pose, but yeah, I feel more tightness in this one. So that's just something to learn about your own body, where its flexibilities and things are. And again, we're just going to hold this pose here, help stretch things out just on the one hip, soften that knee down, try not to have it holding up in the air too much because that's going to create a lot of strain on the inner hip here. So just soften it down, breathing easy. And the foot should be nice and relaxed. There shouldn't be any tingling or numbness here. Again, if you notice anything like that, just move out of it. modify into that log pose. And continue to sit tall, holding this for a few breaths. The longer you hold a pose, the more we get into that softness and that openness. When we come into it right away, our body just kind of goes, no, I don't want to, and it creates tension, and it wants to stop us. But the more we're in it, the more it just starts to create this ease and this soft openness, and that's what we're going for here. So it might seem kind of boring to just sit here in a pose for a while, like la-di-da, play Tetris, do something else, but just want you to keep working at it so that way your body can just have that space to open up and relax out. And the more you do these types of tutorials where you're holding the poses longer, the more you're going to get to that space of flexibility a lot faster. Versus if we're just doing like a little stretch, holding it for 2 seconds, then going to the next stretch, then the next one. But we're just really holding it here. It gives you what you're looking for in your goals. It gives you that openness and creates that softness. And we're going to slowly come out of it, straightening out that right leg, bringing the left foot on top of the right hip, and then we're going to cross the right underneath the left knee. And again, you can come into that log pose if you need to on this side, because each side of the body is different. You know, we walk differently. Like, I carry my son on my right hip all the time, so that throws my body off a lot. I have more tightness in this side of the body. So, you know, to each their own. Just make it how it wants to be right now. If you need to have modification on the left versus the right, vice versa, just let it be what it is. Don't try and criticize or judge yourself or feel like there's something wrong. If you can do it on one side, you must be able to do it on the other. That's not true. We're asymmetrical to begin with anyways too, regardless of how we're treating our bodies through the day. We're just not built, you know, to the centimeter exactly on each side of our bodies. Like, you can even see, maybe you could see, but like this finger is much longer than this one. It's like a whole 1.5 centimeters longer. We're not even, so it's okay. And just know that you're perfect as you are. Everything's fine. And slowly coming out of this. This time we're going to go ahead and come into a deeper forward fold. Give those knees and those hips a little bit of a break here. And this, you feel more of a stretch versus an openness, and that's an okay sensation as well here too. They're both good. They both have a certain purpose. And for the record, you can do this in anything. I'm wearing, these are not stretchy pants. These are very, very, very stiff, tight, suck you in jeans. And I'm able to do these stretches here. So you can do them whenever, wherever, whatever you're wearing. If you want to play with pointing your toes and then flexing them here, you can. Sometimes you get more of a stretch when you flex the toes, which sometimes can stretch and stress out the back of the knee. So if you're noticing that your knees or your hips are just feeling extra tight today, then go ahead and soften and point the toes. And don't worry, tomorrow or the next day you'll be able to have them flexed. So just let it be what it wants to be today in specific. And gently coming back up, we're going to try that cow face that we did last week. So crossing the left knee under, right knee on top. So hopefully you can see that. We're going to take the right arm over, left arm behind, and try and interlock them again. If they don't reach, that's okay. Maybe you're here, or maybe your hips want you to start to move forward. And just keep breathing. Continue to breathe. Try not to stress. As you move forward, it's very easy to start to lift the hips up. try and keep moving them down and just stretch the body forward. You're going to unroll the arms, place them in front, nice and slow, and just focus on getting into those hips just a little bit more here. Again, keep pressing the hips down into the mat. Don't lift them up. That puts too much strain, again, on those little hip joints as well as your knees, so we don't want to do that. I'm just going to hold this for a couple more breaths here. And slowly come back out, and again, slowly unwind. And then take the right knee under, the left knee across. Sometimes you have to get up in order to shift them around, that's okay. And then the left arm up, the right arm under, and this is where mine don't touch. If yours don't either, it's okay. If you want, you can lean forward. Now I notice on this side of my body that this, like I said, my right hip is tighter, so this is more of a strain. This is as far as I can go here. I can't pull all the way. Keep breathing. Don't let the breath go. Slowly unfold those arms, place them in front, and just sink as far as what's comfortable. I think you're starting to notice too much of a pinch or tightness. You can almost let off of it a little bit. Should have said that in the first one. I noticed it on this side. It's easy to internally want to start to fight this. Like I'm starting to feel this tightness starting to build in my hips when I'm doing the pose on this side. And that's when you just want to just soften and relax into an exhale. Soften your face, soften your thoughts, and let that tension go. Let that softness and that openness rise. We're going to slowly ease out of this pose. And so this is kind of a part one, part two. We're going to start off in stage A and then come to a seated spinal twist. So we're going to start off with the extended left leg. Bring the right foot in, and it's going to be on the inside of your hip. So this is the stage A. And you can do the soft variation again where you just hug the leg here, or maybe you wrap the arms around and lean forward. Just breathe here. And try not to let this leg fall open. Try and keep it standing upright. If you need to move it out a little bit, so that way it's more of hips distance apart from your left leg, that's okay. And just play around with it here, see what your hips are asking for. And then slowly coming up, this is where we deepen it into that seated spinal twist. So this is part one where you can just sit up nice and tall. You already have that external rotation happening here. Maybe this is as far as you want to go. Maybe you want to bring the foot in, or you can leave it extended. But either way, maybe you want to just turn into that knee, hugging it here. Maybe you bring your palm on the outside, deepening that stretch a little bit more. Or maybe you interlock the fingers and reach behind your back. I'm just doing whatever the hips ask for here. Don't worry about how fancy your pose looks. Just do what feels good. You want to spoil yourself. We don't do that often enough in our lives. We tend to worry more so about other people, stressing about work, pleasing our families, and taking care of our families if we're parents, or, So just focus on treating yourself here, and don't force it. Don't force the pose. Continue to sit up tall. It's easy to start to slouch here. And keep sitting tall. And slowly coming out of it, hug the knee here if you're not already doing so. And then slowly coming around, hug it here. And slowly come out of the pose, elongating out this right leg, bring the left knee in. And again, for the stage A, maybe you're just hugging the leg here, or maybe you're reaching around and leaning forward. Again, play with your foot placement. You can move it out if that feels better, if your hips are too tight. And we're going to hold this one not as long as the seated spinal twist, so I'm just going to hold this for about 2 more breaths, and then we're going to move out of it. And gently come back up, cross that knee over, and again on this side, maybe you just stay here hugging the knee, or maybe you twist around or extend out, or maybe you bring the right foot back. Maybe you hug the knee here, maybe you reach around, sitting nice and tall, or maybe you grab the palms. Remember to keep your shoulders away from your ears. Soften that spine. And slowly come out of it. Hug the knee to the side. Twist around, center, hug the knee here. And slowly unwrap the legs. We're going to come all the way down to our spines. If you want to invite a little core work here to come down, you can, but you don't have to.